Okay, we're live. It's early, live for me. It's 10:30, 10:35 actually. The 4th of August. So the summer is pretty much over. 2023. So let me do my intro. Okay, so we're alive. Hello, Polly. How are you? What an absolutely crazy, bizarre, strange week, right? Absolutely amazing week. But we made it, I think, most of us. So let me put this up here. So I went on live this morning with Jinx, and I think Copper Horse was in here, and Thomas Frost was in here, and I was trying out a new streaming service. What a disaster that was! Oh my god, I had no idea what I was doing. So I'm back to StreamYard, and thankful for it. Um, but we'll see. I guess I'm just not used to that uh, other streaming service yet, so we'll try to work out the kinks. And I like the presentation a little bit better on the other one, but I don't think I can do the same things on the other one that I can do here on StreamYard. So it's been a chaotic week. A lot of shit going on in the Delphi case, a lot of shit going on in the Brian Kohlberger case, and a lot of stuff going on in pretty much every case that's going on in the country. Uh, so we're going to start here with this. I'll run this again because I've been watching this for a little while. So apparently, um, over in New York, thousands of people turned up for a giveaway for a Twitch streamer who held a video game giveaway. I don't even know what that is, but it created quite the pandemonium in New York City. So let's view this here. So this is for a free giveaway.
The statue over here. Now, a few minutes ago, we showed you the statue and the crowd was gathered around this. Now we've got some people up on the statue, but a lot of that crowd has dispersed. So it is moving around a bit, but it is also filling in, which is just a scary prospect here. Again, police aviation overhead trying to get a handle on this too and trying.
This much craziness for a PlayStation 5? Really? You got to be kidding me. A PlayStation 5. Whatever happened to Donkey Kong and Atari? Remember Atari? I don't think we went that crazy for that stuff, did we? I don't know. It's just crazy.
To position police officers where they need them. But I keep being drawn back to this picture here where people were trying just to get through traffic, and now people climbing on top of their cars to the point where you almost can't see the vehicles.
Yeah, Shannon, we are getting some information now that 6 trains are right now bypassing
Only in America, man. Like, look at this, just throwing things at people for what?
the 14th Street Union Square station in both directions, obviously in deference to what's going on there. And you mentioned that where we saw the people up on the roof there, that has been under construction. So that added danger of what has been a construction area for weeks now. That's the
20 million followers. Wow. Atari, we golf. It's like one of the most aggravating sports things ever. It's just absolutely crazy why these people would do this, but
that big entrance to the train station right there in Union Square Park, probably why they were able to find a ladder around there. And I'm assuming the workers, once they started seeing the crowds and stuff, kind of dispersed themselves.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the case. And you're seeing right here an arrest being made by police officers. But look at the chairs that are strewn about. So chairs were being thrown. They're trying to put up barricades, but as people try to get through those barricades, police are now making arrests through this area. And we talked about that gazebo over the 14th Street station. You know, it's under construction. That's a fear.
Hey, Cleo, how are you? Back in the day, people went crazy for Cabbage Patch Kids and Tickle-Me-Elmo, yeah. I remember when I like none of that. I had a bike. That was it. I had a bike, and I enjoyed the bike, but that was it.
It's not intended to hold human body weight on top of it. That's not its purpose. So this is a whole nother problem that could evolve because of this completely chaotic crowd. I mean, that is literally the only way to describe a crowd like this. And they're all looking for something free. Who knows if they're going to get it at the end, and who knows what that is going to look like when this is all said and done.
Right. And Shannon, even though we had heard that Kai Cenat had been streaming live.
It's a good thing you guys weren't here this morning. I had such a horrible time. I was trying a new streaming service, and it just didn't go well. I feel bad for Jinx and Copper Horse. They were here. I had no idea what I was doing. It was crazy. For some reason, I don't know what I hit a button and I canceled the live stream and I couldn't get back on. It's my life. It was actually really funny.
From down in that crowd. At this point, we don't even know if he's still down there, do we?
No, we don't. You know, I'm trying to look for that green shirt again, and the crowd is just so thick. It's hard to make it out. So we genuinely don't know. But how he would get out of this crowd at this point is a question as well. I can't even imagine how he would.
I think that's a subway station that they were climbing on. I could be wrong. But this looks like something you'd see pre-New Year's Eve.
Work his way out. I don't even think police officers would be able to get to him to help him out if that's what he needed at this point. It is just a mob scene down below.
Right. And it does not seem like he walked into that crowd with his own private security who could potentially help him navigate his way out of that situation. We are starting to hear that there have been some NYPD officers.
I know I've been here before on this trip, but it's been a while since I've been to New York City, so I'm sure things have changed quite a bit. I don't think Sephora was there when I was down there, but I go down there for the food.
Who have suffered some injuries. We have no idea at this point the extent of those injuries. I would imagine, considering the atmosphere down there, that we are going to start to hear about injuries. Police, as well as those who are there in the crowd.
I just don't understand, like, I understand it's at like a new game PlayStation 5, but I'm good with waiting, a couple days.
Oh, I would absolutely think so. But you can see things have certainly changed on the police front. You were looking down at 14th Street now, and you see the line of officers here, where when we first arrived on the scene and officers were first arriving on the scene, what we saw was truly remarkable. You saw a group of officers, maybe 10 or 15, and they were actually holding plywood over their heads. And they actually took cover behind some of the cars that were stuck on 14th Street as the crowd approached them, throwing things at them. I mean, it was something I've not seen before. It's like they had absolutely no fear, and the police officers, really not prepared for it, were forced to retreat. But now it looks like they've got sort of a human barricade up along 14th Street on the south
try to
side
get
of
some
Union
order.
Square. Yeah, they're trying to get some sort of order here, but there's significantly more police presence now, and it does look like they're starting to get a handle. I think they started to arrest people. Maybe that made a difference, but they're starting to get a handle. And again, they've got the advantage of police aviation overhead that can tell them where they need to be. But again, I keep being drawn back to these cars. The first few cars here have now virtually disappeared in this group of people.
Wow,
So clearly, yeah.
I mean,
could you
And there are
imagine if-
2 rows of cars there, it appears, that now just have a mob of people sitting on
Standing
top of them.
You know, Chief
Yeah,
of
and we'll show it
Department.
to you with Street Spotter 7 here. We can actually like highlight it for you. That's a car there. It looks like it's just people, but there's actually a car under there.
Among those who have been on the scene for a while now is Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry. So you got to believe that reinforcements are pouring in there. We see that with the officers now lining 14th Street there. They're going to need a whole lot more officers if there are any hopes of trying to bring some order to this situation. Although people, it appears they've moved
All right, so this
out of
was
the park.
that was 5 hours ago. So I'm gonna go to, let's see here, this one. Nope. Hold on a second. Okay, so let's go to this one here because this. Let's see, hold on. All right, so this is Fox 5.
Chaos that ensued in Union Square. Let's go there now.
This was 3 hours ago, so.
All right, just really quick. Chief Madry, Chief of Department, standing here with me is Chief of Transit. Earlier today at about 1:30 p.m., NYPD became aware of a crowd forming in Union Square. It was quickly determined that an influencer was posting on social media about showing up to Union Square and was encouraging all of his followers to come to the park. There was some posts also about giving away some gaming systems. At approximately 3 p.m., the post went viral and thousands of people began to arrive at Union Square. Soon the park and the surrounding streets were overrun with people. They were obstructing both vehicular and pedestrian traffic.
People losing their shit over PlayStation 5. I mean, I just don't have the time of day for that stuff. I just don't.
Traffic. The NYPD responded by calling a mobilization in response to the large crowd. As the crowd grew, so did our mobilization. The crowd was swarmed when the influencer finally arrived at the park. Individuals in the park began to commit acts of violence towards the police and the public. There was a construction site within the Union Square Park, and people broke into the park and they began to throw articles that belonged to the construction site: paint cans, bottles, rocks. We had people walking around with shovels, axes, and
You gotta be kidding me. Like, that's, oh my good Lord.
other tools from the construction trade. And additionally, individuals were also lighting fireworks, and they were throwing them towards the police. They were throwing them towards each other. The influencer, we were able to eventually get him out of the park and remove him for safety reasons. Our officers exercise great restraint.
I mean, we used to do some crazy shit too when I was younger, but you know, when you get older, stuff just isn't impressive anymore.
despite the aggression that they were met with and the acts of violence they were met with. Ultimately, myself and our leadership team, working in tandem with our department attorneys, did declare this gathering an unlawful assembly. The NYPD offered multiple, and I do mean multiple, opportunities for the crowd
That's what I said. Where did they get the axe? Did they bring one from their house? I mean, I don't know. They get it from the construction site. It was just an axe laying there.
to leave. We tried to give them a means of egress for them to exit the park and exit the streets.
Oh, there he is.
After numerous warnings and after being assailed, hit with rocks and bottles and other debris,
Oops.
we started to make a
What is going on, motherfuckers?
What are you doing?
I'm really drunk.
Oh, awesome.
Dad, I love you very much.
All right, I love you too, man. This is the guest. This is the guest.
Hello.
So much for going over the football thing.
No, if I'm drunk, we could talk football all day.
Are you watching this with me?
Update on, I know who Kai Cenat is. I don't know what
at this point.
went on. I don't know. I heard he had a handout that went bad, but I know he's like a really good YouTuber kind of thing.
What does he do?
He's just a YouTuber. He's a streamer. He just has like a podcast.
That's all he does? He doesn't work or anything?
I don't know.
Oh.
I
don't
mean,
know.
these top tier, YouTuber and streamers probably don't. Yeah,
He's
no,
got, like-
he probably doesn't work. He probably does that full time. But
He's got like 20 million followers.
yeah, these guys that have high volume followers definitely, put some major time into it. Like, I don't know their personal lives, but I know he's big time. I know Drake shouted him out, so that means he's big.
For a PlayStation 5? That's what
I don't
heard.
know. I don't know what it was about. That's the thing. I just know who he is, and I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised that his name is in all this, but I don't know what happened either.
By the way, this is my son.
What up, Cleo? Polygraph. Where's
How long
Pinks?
How long you been drinking?
Probably since like 5:30.
No kidding.
Yeah, we're on a run. Yeah, we're doing all right. I'm about to, after we end this call, I'm gonna fall asleep really fast. Dad, guess where we just got pizza from?
Where? Oh,
Alley
Alley Cat?
Alley Cat, yeah. It sucked.
No.
The worst pizza ever now. It's awful.
No.
You would have
No,
been
what happened?
disgraced. It wasn't even cooked. They put it in there for us. Like, they microwaved it.
Maybe they did that on purpose because you were drunk.
Maybe. I think I sent Amber in a little too soon for it. Maybe they pulled it out a little
Sent
too fast.
Amber in. Why don't you go get your own pizza?
Because I'm drunk. I don't want to make an ass of myself in there. Next thing you know, I'm cooking the pizza.
Oh,
Then the whole place is on fire.
Oh my God. Oh, I got something for you. Hold on a second.
Oh,
You, hold on. I got something for you.
oh, me. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I did
Nice.
this. When did I do this? Oh, shit. What did I do with it? Oh, here it is. Ready?
Nice. No. You
I
see
did
me?
that all. Call and complain. Yeah, you should call and complain. They'll probably throw you out again.
Is that Fulger, Madsen, Murray?
Nice.
No, that was Cleo. Cleo's awesome and Polygraph is awesome. They're both in here.
Oh, I thought you. I know. I was talking about who you're referring to with this Three Stooges
Hey,
picture.
Amber.
That looks like,
Hey.
I did this. I did this all by myself. That's for all the trolls that come in here.
nice. Shout out to them people. What up?
How's
Yeah,
your week
drink-
going?
Good. Yeah, being drunk is not good. Drinking is not good for other people that
Hey, who won the game yesterday?
The Browns won. I know because I lost a bet.
Yeah, I wanted to go over the. Got to make our pick soon for the year, right?
Yeah. Does Heather want to play?
Yeah, she's sleeping now. Hey, Coach. Coach is here too. Hey, buddy.
Nice.
Coach is awesome. He's a Michigan fan.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know college like that.
This is my son.
Didn't Harbaugh get suspended?
No. Why would he get suspended?
I thought Harbaugh got suspended.
No. He's
From-
gonna get fired.
Michigan.
Huh? No, Harbaugh from Michigan. No, I don't think so. He's probably. Oh, he got fired. He got. Who's this? He got.
Yeah, he got suspended for 4 games recently.
For what?
I don't know. Like I
For
said, I'm not a big
sucking?
college guy. I don't know. Yeah, maybe he lost too many games. That'd be hilarious. That's really what people should get suspended for. Like,
Oh, that poor guy.
shout out, Coach. Shout out, Coach.
For buying
Yeah.
a cheeseburger. No. He bought a cheeseburger? Get suspended.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he bought one too many cheeseburgers. Nah, he's
Possibly.
He's good. That's something I can get suspended for.
Hey, Coach, if you want to come up, let me know. This whole thing in New York is just really crazy.
Yeah, I heard
Somebody
it blew up.
Somebody had a picture with a gun in his hand? Harbaugh? If Harbaugh has a gun, it's not good.
Well, Urban Meyer had a picture with an
Oh, yeah,
ass
that was Urban Meyer. Yeah.
and with an ass in his hand, and he'll never coach ever again.
He's funny. Oh, my good Lord.
Yeah,
So what else is going on?
not much. Yeah, I mean, we could talk pool. I mean, I think the pool. Amber wants to join.
For recruiting, he lied about it. Doesn't everybody do that? I guess it's not wrong if you don't get caught. Now you're hungry. Don't go to Alley Cat.
Yeah, they're taking the pizzas out way too soon. I would suggest CJ's actually. CJ's is very nice.
Alley Cat is the only place you can go in New Hampshire where they actually have Italian pizza. It's weird. And now, obviously, they don't.
Yeah, Pizza Man's big time. They've kind of replicated that same thing. They're really good. I would definitely thumbs up. This is not a paid advertisement, but they have Van Ness.
They probably don't have it. Kev is from Pennsylvania, and he's Western Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, so he'll like the Philly cheesesteak one. No,
I don't know if he's a Philly fan or not.
no. Well, the cheesesteak.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Hey, Jinx. Jinx is here. Cool. Yeah, I
Hey,
just figured
Dad, you know who's gonna be really bad this year that everyone is gonna think is good?
Ooh,
The Cowboys. So we're gonna be all right.
yeah, Pittsburgh's going to be dead last.
Nah, Pittsburgh is the up and coming team. And
Oh,
you know
no,
what? You know what's funny is we could say, you know what 2 teams are gonna be really, really bad that everyone thinks is gonna be really good? The Dolphins and the Cowboys.
I love my football team, but they suck. They're horrible. They can't stop anybody. They have Kenny Pickett. Oh my God.
Why do I feel like it's gonna be the Patriots? Why do I
No, it's not going to be the Patriots.
why do I just think that though? You know?
This is what's going to happen. Okay. The very first game from the very first play of the year, Aaron Rodgers is going to get hurt for the rest of the year,
Yeah.
and it's going to be Buffalo all over again in that division. You can just see it. You just know it's going to happen.
I don't know.
Pierogies and stuffed cabbage. This
Yeah,
is my son here, Kev, and his mother makes the best pierogies on the planet,
that's right. Throw some fucking butter on that. It's a fucking wrap.
which is my first wife. But she made the best pierogies all by hand. Did awesome pierogies.
Yeah, well,
She made
Dad,
them really good when she was stoned. So
yes, Dad,
even
I'm
better when
gonna,
she was stoned.
I'm gonna sign off.
All right, man.
It's been really fun. I can't believe I'm still awake.
Either can I.
Things are we're good. This is good.
Make sure that when you go to sleep, everybody's out of the room so they don't turn the room on you.
Nice. Okay.
I'm an ass.
No, you're good. Dad, do you believe in Pickens? Do you
No.
like Pickens, or do you think he's
No.
going to be a bust?
I think he's horrible. I think he's going to be the worst quarterback in the league this year. Period.
No, Pickens, the receiver.
Oh, Pickens? Probably.
That's the thing is like, you guys might have the next breakout receiver. So
Yeah, but he could be the best receiver in the world. They still need somebody to get him the football, and that's not going to happen.
yeah, it might help him out. The tight end is doing pretty well for you guys too, though. If that tight end can be any good, then Darnell Washington. If that's what you're talking about, Coach Kev. Yeah, no. If he could be pretty good, you guys, Dad. I know you always talk your team down, but like
They suck. They're
Hey.
horrible. Just put one. Polygraph said just put one foot on the floor.
yeah, no, that's definitely a good strategy. And yeah, Coach Kev, yeah, we're on the same thing. That's Darnell Washington. Yeah, he's really good. But the thing is, like, Dad, you're always like heavy on your team, but like my team's never won a playoff game. I've never seen my team win a playoff game before. Like,
Yeah, but you haven't been alive as long as I have. I've seen the Dolphins win a lot of playoff games.
yeah, but I wasn't alive. That's the point. I would
I
like
still
to see
can't
us win
believe
one.
Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl. Like that's just how did Dan Marino not win a Super Bowl? When I think back of Super Bowls, I'm like, oh, the great quarterbacks in the league, yeah, forever, you know. And I'm like, well, Dan Marino won one. Wait a
You're
minute.
gonna have the only team you're really gonna have to worry about is the Browns.
No,
Burrow's
it's gonna be,
already hurt. Burrow's already hurt. You know, Lamar's gonna get hurt.
how did Burrow get hurt?
He hurt. He pulled a calf in camp.
Good night, Cleo. Thanks for coming in.
Adios, Cleo. I don't know who you are, but I hope you make some good toast for yourself.
Cleo's awesome.
Yeah, toast sounds
Watch
really
this.
good right now, but I'm also toast at this point. So
Watch this. I fucking love that. I fucking love that.
that's perfect. Here, how come you come stand over here? I'll go.
I get it, but I don't think he did.
Who's your favorite Three Stooge?
Curly.
Amber loves Curly.
Curly's awesome.
You know.
Night,
All right.
Cleo.
Yeah, I'm gonna like I said, I'm gonna head out
All right, man.
before I make an ass of myself. I
Don't
hope you guys have a good night talking football. I mean, to answer your question, Dad, like, I mean, yeah, the pool's fine. Everything's good. Amber
well,
might
go
join.
on. I'll do another live Sunday. We'll go over the picks and stuff for the Super Bowl because we got to make them soon, right? No.
I mean, I think we made them right before week 1 last year.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna
mean,
take a little
we have-
longer this year because
we
I
have
have no
plenty of
clue.
time. I have no
clue
clue either. I think this is going to be one of the best football years in a long time. I really do. Like, and I could see almost any team in the AFC making it, and none of the teams in the NFC. Like,
Yeah, I have. I mean, I guess my front runner in the NFC right now is probably the Rams, but you know,
yeah, we
Pick
traded
any
for
team.
Ramsey, and then Ramsey broke his leg in practice the first day.
I know it's not going to be the Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. As long as it's not going to be the Cowboys, we're good. But like, you know, there's going to be there. In my
Good
opinion,
night, Jinx. Coach Kev's high school basketball coach cut Dan Marino.
nice.
Yeah,
Central
we just
Catholic Mass.
we just passed on Dan Marino because he went to Pitt, and we didn't think anything of him, so we let him go, and we sucked for 10 years.
Dan Marino is the most overrated quarterback since Phillip Rivers.
Who?
Phillip Rivers and Dan Marino are the same guy. Bums. Yeah.
No, Dan Marino was much better than Philip Rivers.
I don't know. Like, really? We didn't win any chips. So what is it? Like, the guy sucked. Fuck him. Fuck Dan Marino. For real. As a true Dolphin fan and a real alcoholic, fuck Dan Marino.
You're too
No,
funny.
everyone's always like, oh yeah, Dan Marino, you must be a Dolphin fan right now. Fuck him. He didn't win us shit.
Yeah, well, he dominated the league for like 10 years. So
Right. So did Phillip Rivers. He sucks. Bum. Tell him I said it. I don't care. Quote me.
all right, man.
All right. Yeah,
I may block you.
that's fine.
Kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, but seriously though, like honestly, like I'm trying to be an ass about it, but like
Who kissed Ray Finke?
we haven't won a championship since the 70s. Like it's been a long time.
Yeah, we're not the only ones.
Like I think if we would have won a championship in the 90s, it really would have helped us out in terms of a whole entire franchise. Like if Dan Marino won one, he might have won three.
Kansas City was saying the same thing back when they got what's his face, and he didn't do anything for them either. Joe Montana. They got Joe Montana, and they couldn't do anything either.
Right, but Dan Marino was like, it'd be like if Peyton Manning never won a Super Bowl. Like that'd be like it's ridiculous. He didn't win at least one.
One more concussion for Tua, and I don't know what the Dolphins are going to do. I just don't.
Yeah, we got Mike White. Don't worry about it. We've already got our whole season worried. I fucking
Mike who?
trashed. Yeah, we've already got our whole season down the drain. Don't worry about it.
Mike who?
Did you see Tyreek Hill smack the boat guy on the fucking
No,
marina? He's got like a misdemeanor out against him.
no.
Yeah, he was at the marina in Miami. He just walked by and smacked one of the guards in the back of the head. And I was
It's going to be another.
suspended. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
another long season for me, buddy.
Dad, I promise you, your team will go much further than my team will, just based off like.
I can't believe my Yankees are in last place. Like, how is that possible? How can they have that team and be in last place? Like, oh, wait a minute. I know.
I don't know.
They got the
Dad,
worst manager in baseball. That's why.
I don't know what's going on with Stanton. He's garbage.
They're awful. They're terrible. It's the coach. It's the manager. He's terrible.
But then again, who cares about baseball, right?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, we might as well watch fucking pickleball.
They gave Judge like $400 billion and he stinks. He's horrible.
That's a big problem with a lot of sports. I really don't mind these owners fighting back on this because it doesn't matter what the sport is. Like these players have one good year and then you never hear from them again in any sport. And I don't blame these owners for trying to fight back. I really don't.
Check this out. Check this out. What Coach Kev said. We're doing a true crime fantasy football league.
I would fuck with it. I would be in it.
I don't even know anything about fantasy football.
You'd be fine, Dad. You would actually learn a lot about like a lot of the like.
Although I do, my team's been playing fantasy football for a long time, like 6 years.
No, Dad. It really helps me, and it really helps me know like a lot of like the second depth players on a lot of these teams. Like you really get to know like what teams are what. Like fantasy football would be awesome. You should be in my league this year, Dad.
Yeah, I'll think about it for sure.
It's a lot easier than you think. You fucking set your lineup once a week and you hope your team does well, you know it, like you know enough about the studs that you'll learn. Like you have enough of a basis to know about who the good players are. You might not draft a good team, but you'll have good players because you know enough.
Yeah, I might as well do it.
All you gotta do is kind of like look at the waiver wire and like find a guy you might like. And then have him be good, but like, because I've been playing fantasy football for 8 years, so I've seen players come in and suck. I've seen players, I've seen the patterns, I've seen things, so I might be able to pluck a shitty player off the wire that might be really really good one day, rather than you because you don't have like the prior knowledge.
I'll just pick my whole team, and I'll probably win.
But it's about like throughout
Or
the year,
lose.
there's going to be like rookies who You know, you gotta like find like you might be really good actually too because you watch college football. A lot of times, like those rookies that come in, you know, nobody really knows, and then if somebody catches them, then it's big time.
Right.
But yeah, I'm too drunk and I'm rambling at this point, so I'll catch you guys later. And Dad, yeah, I'm the owner of my league, so anytime you want to lead, you got a spot.
All right,
Anytime
man.
you want to play, you got to spot my league.
All right, buddy.
So
Hey, thanks for coming on, man.
we'll be in touch soon. I love you. I'm just really drunk and need to go to bed.
Yeah, that's fine. I love you, buddy.
Love you too.
All right, man.
All right, bye.
All right, so that's our guest. Classic. Here we go. Ready? No sound. Okay. He's quite the kid. All right, so back to true crime, right? So we were playing this here. This is the press conference from the New York PD about this PlayStation 5 rollout.
Preventing them from destroying property, looting, and other things like that. And we'll continue to be out here and we'll continue to disperse this crowd until they're all gone. We're using our drone technology to help us monitor the situation. Of course, our aviation unit is up there as well. Our office is still being met with some resistance after numerous warnings, and we're still making some additional arrests. This mobilization is ongoing, and that's
I mean, honestly, what are they going to do? I've been to this McDonald's before, for sure. They're just going to arrest these guys and they're going to be out on personal recognizance in the morning. So it's not like,
said before, we will be here until this crowd disperses. At this point, I'll take any questions.
We're going to start off.
I mean, they should get more time, but they won't.
Trying to go ABC 7.
Josh.
We heard reports of injured officers. A woman told me she saw a cop getting jumped and beat. We have video of you being attacked. Your shirt shows. Can you talk about injuries to members of the service and to your own experience?
Absolutely, Josh. You know, and I believe the woman's account is possibly right, even though I don't know exactly what she's speaking about.
So apparently, this one YouTuber who has like 20 million followers, Kai Cenat, is that the right way to say that? Was giving away a free video game in New York City and caused a ton of panic. So
were attacked. We were in there. We were crushed. We were pushed. I had officers on the floor. As you see, I'm a little embarrassed because I'm very dirty right here, but I was in the middle of the crowd. I was hit with multiple objects as well. I think I have a couple of injuries, but I'll figure that out once I have time to think about it.
But in terms of any officers treated for injuries that you know of?
We had one or two officers removed, and we had officers out here. I had officers who got hit and were hurt, but they stayed. They stayed and helped us to control this.
We're going to go Associated Press.
Yeah,
Hi, sir.
I'm wondering if there is any kind of action that might be taken or could be taken against the influencer.
Absolutely. We're in contact with the influencer. I have our legal team here. I'm going to have a discussion with Commissioner Caban in a little bit, and then we'll make a decision there.
Well, I'm wondering, though, if there's anything specific that you could be targeting him with?
Well, we'll discuss with our legal department about inciting a riot and other charges.
We're going to go over to Matt. Chief, any of the youths injured, how many of them, what was the extent of the injury? And was he actually giving away PlayStations, or is that just a clan?
That I'm not sure in terms of the PlayStation. I personally observed young people walking out with their heads bleeding from their heads, bleeding from on their faces. I've seen I personally observed young people having...
this is classic. The walk sign. If you see this in New York, you don't cross the street.
Panic attacks, anxiety attacks, asthma attacks. There was multiple, people were suffering out here. It was a lot of people It was uncontrolled. It took us a while to get it under control, and a lot of young people got hurt.
Was that in confrontation with the police, or was that in the riot?
No, most of it was within the park. The young people in the park throwing objects at each other. They were dancing. They were doing a whole lot of things, but they were hurting each other as they were doing this.
Why were they stealing stuff from the construction site?
That I don't have an answer for.
Matt, we're going to move on. Mark Morales, CNN.
Mark.
Why not? I mean, it's just crazy people doing crazy things. Why not take stuff from a construction site?
What's the estimate as to how many people were here, and where is this YouTuber streaming now? What precinct is he?
We do have him. I don't know exactly which precinct he's in. We have him. In terms of people, there was thousands of people out here. It wasn't hundreds of people. There was thousands, and mostly young people out here.
All right, Dean Moses, AM New York. This is the first time something like this has happened after the giveaway. You guys are communicating to prevent this in the future?
We're going to definitely work on this. This is something we will have an after-action review of in terms of how we responded, how we're monitoring social media, and how we can prevent this in the future. We have encountered things like this before, but it never to this.
There's a good possibility that I'm going to probably try to start on the Flora fire tonight later.
Level of dangerousness where young people would not listen to our commands. They were fighting each other, they were hurting each other, and they were turning our attacks on us. We had to defend ourselves, and we had to make arrests.
Alfredo Costa, Telemundo. Approximately, Chief, how many people were arrested today?
Quite a few. I don't have an exact answer. We loaded up a city bus. The bus, we had young people attacking the bus, trying to pull people off the bus. We had to send resources there to protect the bus. It was a very dangerous situation.
Anthony DiLorenzo, Pix 11. So the question is, how does something like this happen?
All right, so complete chaos. Not a good sign. But, you know, it is what it is. It's New York City. Pretty sure they haven't seen anything like that for a while. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to go. Let's go here to. So we're going to go back 3 days to this court appearance that Rex Heuermann had. He made his first court appearance, and we'll take a look at that. So this guy's being accused of unaliving 3 sex workers 10 years ago. And they're trying to link him to others, I think. And he had his first court appearance 3 days ago, and obviously pled not guilty. So he's innocent until proven guilty, but I think this guy's pretty
Rex
guilty.
Heuermann appeared in
I think he's pretty guilty.
court for the first time since his arraignment today. He's charged with killing 3 women, and prosecutors say he's a suspect in a 4th death.
He pleaded not guilty to those charges. Fox 5's Jody Goldberg joins us live from Riverhead with the very latest on this court appearance. Jody.
Antoine and Natasha, it was a short conference, but it's been a long time coming. As the district attorney put it, it was 13 years ago when the bodies were discovered, and he's handing over 13 years worth of evidence. Accused serial killer Rex Heuermann stood stone-faced in court on Tuesday afternoon, appearing for the first time since he pleaded not guilty to the murders of at least 3 sex workers found buried and bound in burlap sacks along a stretch of Ocean Parkway more than 10 years ago.
We have to show up every day. We have to comply with our discovery requirements, and we'll negotiate the case in good faith with the court and defense counsel and see how it plays out.
Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney, who's prosecuting the case himself, handed over a massive amount of evidence, including 8 terabytes in hard drives, 2,500 pages of documents, photos from this scene, and DNA reports. Huerman, who wore a dark blazer over a light blue shirt, had a mop of messy hair. He took one big look over his shoulder as he left the courtroom. His attorney, who has been the only one to visit him in jail, says his
I mean, this is such a,
client is looking forward to his
he
day in
is
court.
such a big guy.
There's no plea deal.
Look over his
Look
shoulder
at
as
this.
he
Look at how big this guy is. I mean, he towers over everybody there. And some of these guys are 6 feet.
left the courtroom. His attorney, who has been the only one to visit him in jail, says his client is looking forward to his day in court.
They have their hands full with this guy. This attorney's really good.
There's no plea deal. He said from the moment I met him that I did not do this. So we're
Well, no one ever says they're guilty. Nobody. So
prepared to go forward. We will defend this case in a court of law, and we will go to trial in this case.
Family members of the victim showed up in court. There was no sign of Asa Ellerup, Huerman's estranged wife, who told reporters she was, quote, blindsided by the arrest, and she had no
I truly feel so bad for her. Like, I mean, just all the bullshit that she's probably going through.
idea about the double life Huerman allegedly led. She was forced out of her home while investigators searched for evidence to build the case against Huerman. She called the condition in which it was left uninhabitable, saying police pulled apart their bathtub and left piles of boxes scattered about.
They probably took some of the plumbing traps and most of the plumbing out of the house, because if there's any DNA found in those traps, that'll be evidence for sure.
And now we're told a press conference is expected sometime this week with Ellerup, that's Huerman's estranged wife. Now, as for the fourth victim, we're told that investigation is ongoing. Huerman is due back in court on September 27th. That's the latest here in Riverhead, Long Island. Jody Goldberg, let's send it back to you.
All right, Jody, we'll take it. Thank you.
All right, so what I want to do is I want to go here. Yeah, shut up. All right, I want to go here. So, I mean, I followed this storm because I follow a lot of hurricanes, and this was Hurricane Sandy. And Hurricane Sandy happened in 2012. So this is a couple years after these girls were found. So this was the track, and it went up into here. And literally just devastated this entire region here. There was 233 killed. Yep, Hurricane Sandy, $75 billion in damage, and a second costliest hurricane in U.S. history. So this was a serious problem. And when you have, beach erosion like this here, I don't know what this is actually. This was Sandy. I actually probably have images still on my computer from this. But this was a massive storm that came up the coast, and we don't get, up here in the Northeast, we don't usually get too many of these. But this is, just some of the flooding that happened. This was in, where was this here? But you can see this is some of the damage. This has hit New York. I mean, they had so much flooding in New York, it was ridiculous. Into the subways, everything. And then there was Irene too. Yeah, this is the damage. So all I'm saying is, if there were any bodies, along with the other 3 or 4 that were found, it's possible that some of these storms could have washed some of these bodies away too at the same time. So that's something to think about. And then there was Irene. Irene was more here, but it came through. So this was Hurricane Irene. This was 2011, and it came up. There was a major hurricane, not a major hurricane, but Category 1, I think, when it hit. And then it just barreled its way through the Connecticut River Valley. So there's been some storms that have come through that could have caused, some of these bodies to be washed away. I mean, this is some of the damage from Irene. This is New Jersey. This was the storm. We got hit up here from Irene pretty good in Vermont, for sure. Vermont and western New Hampshire. This is what it was down in Florida. So we had a couple good storms back to back each year. All right, so I'm gonna get out of here, and we'll go fast forward to this was done. When was this done? This was done 5 hours ago. So let's play this. They found new evidence. Now I don't know if this person here they found is related to the Gilgo 4, but I remember this victim here was unidentified until I think yesterday or today. So, all right, let's play that, share that. Pretty sure there's nobody here, but.
About the evidence. Let's get straight to our own Court TV crime and justice correspondent, Matt Johnson. You were there at today's press conference, Matt. First, always great to have you on. Second, what did we learn today about one of the victims?
Judge Ashley, happy Friday to you. Another major development in this case, when you look at all of the victims' remains, 11 of them found over a decade ago, not all of them identified today. One more set of remains, one more victim identified on these steps here behind me for the DA's office. Today, Jane Doe number 7, known as the Fire Island Jane Doe, was
Why did I do that?
identified as Karen Vergata. When she went missing 27 years ago, she was 34 years old, living in Manhattan. She was an escort. She disappeared in February of 1996. No one knew what had happened to her. And then remains were found in 2011. Her legs and feet were discovered.
Karen Vergata.
Covered in the beach of Long Island, or Fire Island rather, her skull located near the.
So this is interesting. These are the 4 here. And this is a good map because they have the miles, 0.28 miles, 0.62 miles, 1 point. So this is further away, obviously. But these 4 here are interesting in this case here. But, we're going to have to wait to see if any of these others are connected. But
the dismembered remains of Jane Doe number 3, known as Peaches, off of Ocean Parkway in Long Island. Gilgo Beach Homicide Task Force that was formed just last year. Their investigation also led to the arrest of Rex.
I'll tell you one thing, this task force is cleaning freaking house. They are literally doing a fantastic job. I mean, getting people some answers. This is how it's supposed to go. You know, they've been on the case for a year and a half, I think, and they are just literally kicking some ass here.
Hewerman in the Gilgo 4 case. And also, this task force started to look into details and evidence in all of the other cases that remain unsolved. And through genetic genealogy, they were able to identify this.
See, that's just like unbelievable. The new technologies they have is big help. It's a big help in some of these cases because they never ever get solved if it wasn't for that stuff. So this is another picture of Karen Vergata. Pretty sure there's going to be pictures coming out of the woodwork now. Beautiful girl, woman, you know, just freaking sad, just horrible. I always want to highlight the victims because they're the reason why. Not the killer, the victim.
Particular victim today. Take a listen.
We're here, I'm here with our fellow task force members to announce the identity of what has formerly been known as Fire Island Jane Doe. You know, on April 20th, 1996, female remains consisting.
So this goes way back to 1996. So if for some reason, now I'm not saying they're going to link this to this guy, but if they do link this to this guy, that's going to be bad because, you know, 1996 to 2023, it's a long time.
Legs and feet were found on the bayside shore of Fire Island, about a mile west of Davis Park Beach. Then approximately 15 years later, on April 11, 2011, additional remains consisting of a skull were discovered at Tobay Beach in Nassau County. That skull was found following the discovery of the remains of Jessica Taylor, and the skull was found on the same day as the remains of what is commonly come to be referred to as Peaches was found on Jones Beach. Since 2011, that victim was known by various names, including Fire Island Jane Doe. Today, we are here to announce that as part of the Gilgo Task Force re-examination of all the evidence in the case, we were able to identify Fire Island Jane Doe as Karen Vergata, who was 34 years old at the time of her disappearance. And I believe we have a picture of Miss Vergata. I think it's important that we remember and honor not only Miss Vergata, but all the victims on Gilgo Beach.
And that's what today was about. The top prosecutor in Suffolk County, Long Island, New York here, saying that it's about Vergata, not about Rex Hewerman. He's not a suspect in this particular case. But again, our minds go there when we talk about all the 11 victims that were found along this stretch of Sandy Beach. As for Vergata, her family has been notified. Her cause of death not released. And they're also not saying if they have any suspects at this time.
So grateful.
So let me stop this for a second. I want to go here to give people some sort of a, you know, idea of where this is. So this must be Fire Island here. Here's Massapequa here. So the other ones were found in here. And this is where the other one was found, at Jane Doe 7. So. Right here. So Gilgo Beach here, Fire Island Beach here, I think. I'd love to go down to some of these lighthouses down here. So let's go back to the stream. This is how I get myself into trouble because I hit too many buttons.
To law enforcement for putting it together and identifying her. So finally, families know and can hopefully work on next steps in terms of finding some peace, if there is such a thing, at least some justice. Because speaking of justice, there's new evidence that I think we heard about today. Matt, tell us what that was in the Gilgo 4 killings.
Right. Today, when we heard that there was going to be an update with the Gilgo task force, our minds immediately go to the fact of Rex Heuermann is still a suspect in the fourth of 4 killings known as the Gilgo 4, Maureen Barnes. We really thought that we were going to hear details about that and possible charges in that case. Charges are still pending. They are still.
Welcome, anybody who's here. Going over the Gilgo 4 and the cases of the week.
Testing evidence connected with the remains found in that case. But what we do know is that there is new light being shed on a belt that was found with her remains. And in particular, because there's initials on this belt. Prosecutors telling Court TV that her body was found bound with a belt with initials WH or HM. Heuermann's full name, however, is Rex Andrew Heuermann, so his initials don't match that. But the initials could match a possible other relative. Meanwhile, Heuermann faces murder charges in connection to the.
I mean, what do you think the chances of that belt having those initials? I mean, I can't make any sense of that.
Heuermann, so his initials don't.
To me, this looks odd this way. So HM to me looks odd because of where this line through the H is.
HM.
So to me, this looks a little bit more natural with the line here. But maybe that's just me.
Heuermann's full name, however, is Rex Andrew Heuermann, so his initials don't match that, but the initials could match a possible other relative. Meanwhile, Heuermann faces murder charges in connection to the other 3 Gilgo 4 murder victims. The suspected Long Island serial killer was in court earlier this week. We were there as prosecutors handed over a mountain of evidence to the defense, which included 8 terabytes of material, and that's equivalent to 2,500 pages worth of documents. They also passed over 100 hours of surveillance video, crime scene.
See, the good news about this case is they had, I don't know, 10 years, 11 years of investigation. They're got a lot of evidence collected over that much time. So it's going to be tough if they have, that much time to come up with the evidence, going through his house, all the cell phone pings for the defense to make any real defense if they have 10 or 11 years worth of evidence gathering.
Photos, autopsy reports, and phone records and DNA evidence. Here's more now from prosecutors.
This is a 13-year case, so as you saw, we have a great deal of information, evidence, photographs, reports to provide to the defense counsel. We've begun that process. I think it was 8 gigabytes of material, which is a tremendous amount. And that's just the beginning. We're going to continue to do that on a rolling basis. And, this case, the charges in the indictment are just allegations.
I understand there's going to be more discovery forthcoming, and we have a new court date of September 27th. That's the next scheduled court date. And again, it's going to be a conference date, and we'll update the judge on where we're at. So if I can answer some questions, I'll do my best to do that. Well, he's incarcerated. He's a man who's never been arrested before. He's maintained his innocence from the inception of this case.
This guy's a really tough lawyer. That's going to be tough.
So he's doing the best he can at this point in time. He's looking forward to having his day in court.
And during our week,
I mean, how many people don't get arrested and say they're guilty? No, I don't think it might have happened once or twice in history. So it's not unusual for a suspect to say, hey, I didn't do this.
investigating this case here in the New York area, Judge Ashley, we did talk to that defense attorney, and he says he maintains his innocence, and Huerman is also trying to maintain his relationship with his wife and kids.
All right. Speaking of that relationship with his wife and kids, I know that you, Matt, recently spoke with his soon-to-be ex-wife. What did Rex's wife, soon-to-be ex, have to say?
She said, get off of my property and leave me the fuck alone. That's what she said.
Yeah, that's right, because 1 week after he was charged with 3 counts first-degree murder, 3 counts second-degree murder, his wife went straight to a divorce lawyer and filed for divorce. But I spoke with her yesterday. We spoke for quite some time. She was in her yard with her dog. She was telling me that ever since that arrest, her life has been shattered. Here's more of our conversation together. Take a listen.
This poor woman, I mean, literally just...
I know you can't talk about the case. How are you holding?
I mean, she just looks so depressed. You can tell she's Icelandic, though.
No.
What you see, right? It is what it is.
How's your children doing?
Not going over that one. Not going there.
Have you spoken to your husband?
And I'm not going there either. That's already been, his lawyers already answered that question.
How are you getting through the day with media and with all the questions? I know
It's just like unbelievable, you know. I've seen a lot of creators crashing, smashing the media, and I have I have opinions on how the media works and stuff like that. I mean, the media is just doing their job. These guys get paid by Court TV. Court TV tells them what to do. They're doing their job, and right or wrong, it's part of the job. They have a job to do. But I just feel bad for the suspect's family because this woman here is going through hell. Period.
No, it must be tough.
Moment by moment.
That was just a short portion of our lengthy conversation together at one.
But I do know there's people helping out, neighbors helping out, bringing food, groceries. BTK's daughter has set up a GoFundMe for the family. So, I mean, there are good people.
Points. She invited me up on her porch to take a look at the sign, and also that she has posted about contacting her attorney. Her attorney, for that matter, has also released pictures earlier this week concerning
Look at this house. I think they're going to show images of the neighborhood, and this house right here sticks out like a sore thumb.
damage she says that investigators did. Judge Ashley.
All right, Matt Johnson, thank you so much for joining us there from Long Island.
I wonder if I can find that. Anyway, we'll go here. This is, we're going to switch over to the Bryan Kohberger crap. So he has come up with an alibi of some sort. And I'll give my opinion on this too. So this is all about the Idaho student murders in Moscow, Idaho, that happened last fall. And the defense is throwing everything they can at the wall to see if something sticks. And now they're saying that he has an alibi. And they're also questioning the grand jury too, which I find is amazing. So let's listen to this.
I'm Vinny Politan. We've got breaking news tonight. Put on your seatbelts. Get ready. You're not going to believe it. You are not going to believe it, folks. In the biggest case that we're tracking across the country, out in Moscow, Idaho, the mass murder of those 4 1,000% innocent college students from the university.
I just have a funny feeling this guy's going to walk in this case. I just do. I hope he doesn't, because I think he's pretty much guilty. But, you know, innocent until proven guilty, right? And they have so many cell phone pings from him, which is usually good news. But all the defense has to do is come up with one cell phone ping, and I'm pretty sure they're going to bring their own experts in to discredit one of those cell phone pings. And if they discredit one of those cell phone pings, it's just like a deck of cards, man. It's just going to fall all down. And because I know they have the touch DNA on the knife sheath, but I just think that's not going to be enough if they can discredit some of the cell phone pings.
The defendant. We talked a little bit before last week about, oh, they may have an alibi. We think they may have. No. Today they file an actual alibi. Filing where he was at the time of the murders. Now, understand that an alibi is, to me, anyone who's innocent, right? Not anyone, but I would say 98% of people who are wrong.
See, touch DNA isn't like other DNA. Like if you can find blood, fluids on clothes, in cars. I mean, they literally destroyed this guy's car trying to find evidence. I'm not saying they didn't find any evidence, but if that's all they have is that touch DNA, there's a lot of explaining you could do to get rid of that, because it's a big planet, you know, and people touch things, people do things. The question I have in this case is if the witness saw this guy going to the door, you know, dressed in all black with bushy eyebrows, why wasn't he carrying the knife?
Wrongfully accused are factually innocent should be able to provide an alibi. Like, it couldn't have been me because I was doing X, Y, and Z, and A, B, and C can tell you about that, or this video can tell you about, you know, like the alibi takes you away from the scene of the crime. It puts you somewhere else. It makes it impossible for you to have committed the crime, right?
This guy here is psychotic. This guy here, in my opinion, definitely did this, but I've seen people walk before.
Every episode of Law and Order, the old show, the original Law and Order, that's the first thing we know. Does he have an alibi? Every time they came across a suspect, did he have an alibi? Did he have an alibi? Does the alibi check out, right? If the alibi checks out, they move on to the next suspect. So, time for me to reveal what this alibi is. Again, you're not going to believe it. Take a look.
Oh, we'll believe it.
Mr. Accused murderer has long had a habit of going for drives alone. Often, he would go for drives at night. He did so late on November 12th and into November 13th, 2022. The accused mass murderer is not claiming to be at a specific location at a specific time. At this time, there's not a specific witness.
Look at this. Look at this wording. Mr. Kohlberger has long had a habit of going for drives alone. I mean, there's nothing illegal about that. Often he would go for drives at night, in the middle of the night. He did so late on November 12th and until November 13th, 2022. He is not claiming to be at a specific location at a specific time. And at this time, there is not a specific witness to say precisely where Mr. Kohlberger was at each moment of the hours between late night, November 12th, and early morning, November 13th. He was out driving during the late night and early mornings of the time in question. That's not an alibi.
To say precisely where the accused mass murderer was at each moment of the hours between late night November 12th, 2022 and early morning November 13th, 2022. He was out driving during the late night and early morning hours of November 12th to 13th of 2022. All night.
Oh my God, you just can't make this stuff up. You just can't. You cannot make this stuff up.
Driving. Wow. Let me bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter joining us on the phone with all these breaking details on her night off. Chanley, great to speak with you. Thank you.
And what's really funny is if the jury buys it, right? Like all they need to do is convince one juror, right? That's it.
Thank you for joining us. I'm looking at this alibi.
I'll be right back.
And it almost strikes me as a bit of an admission here, Chanley.
Absolutely, Vinny. This is huge. We know the evidence that prosecutors have, not only following his cell phone the night of the murders, Vinny, but his white Hyundai Elantra along the path around the times of the murders. And now he's admitting to being out there driving around, Vinny. We've been on the ground there. I've been to all of those locations on the scene. We showed you where he was and the path that he allegedly took. So for him to admit this is it's huge for prosecutors. So this motion where he does reveal part of an alibi is actually an objection to a state's motion to compel him to provide an alibi, because there's a time limit in Idaho where alibi is an affirmative defense. You have to let the prosecutors know within a certain amount of time, a specific date, time, who you were with, corroborating witnesses to that alibi. So he's trying to get around that by saying, well, I can't really tell you exactly where I was on the night, but I have a habit of driving around the night. And he says in this motion that corroboration of him not being at the crime scene may come through the cross-examination.
It's like people who say they were sleeping, right? Sleeping is not an alibi unless somebody sees you sleeping, right?
Of state witnesses, and he can't be more specific about what possible witnesses may say or what they won't say. He also says corroboration of not being there may be brought through expert witnesses of his own, Vinny. So again, real amorphous, but what a huge admission that he, yes, on the night of the murders was out driving around.
So you got him in the car that night, all night, right? Without a witness. So he's 1,000%.
I mean, I drive around at night too, but that's my job. That's I have a reason to do that. But people do go driving around. They have nothing better to do. That's their form of therapy.
By himself, not with someone else, not calling up a family member or a friend or going to a drive-through. See, that's the thing. Like, if you're out all night, aren't you gonna get a little hungry or something if you're just out for a casual drive?
And
somewhere?
he happens to turn off his phone within a time range that his car, then he is picked up on King Road. We know that from the affidavit, making multiple passes back and forth and then allegedly speeding away. And then his phone comes back on at an area a little bit south of town. And nobody's with him. He is driving alone. And also, then remember what the affidavit said, that his phone is also pinging the next morning at the crime scene. And then also we know that there's no driving around at night after the murders in that area. He doesn't return to that area. So just saying.
So to establish this alibi, it seems he might have to testify to say where he was or just go by it. This is like an alibi that's not quite an alibi because it doesn't necessarily put him somewhere else, right? It's much more vague that he's just out driving in the car, no one to witness and no specific places. No, he's not claiming to be at a specific location at a specific time, and there's not a specific witness. So it's a very unspecific alibi. Am I reading that right, Chanley?
Unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. I don't think you can make this stuff up.
You're exactly right, Vinny. So, but just the fact that he places himself, maybe, was he not driving his own car? Because we have his own car at the murder scene. on surveillance video around the times of the murder. So
Unbelievable.
maybe he wasn't driving his own car.
That's what I just
Maybe
said.
they'll challenge the cell phone data with their own expert. Maybe that's the expert they're referring to in this, because of the tower, attached to towers, covering a larger space than what it is. Who knows, Vinny? But this is definitely a big reveal.
All right, he's got a long habit of these drives, so maybe there's evidence of him doing it many other times. That I don't know. But Chanley, appreciate everyone at home. You must know
12
Chanley.
previous times.
What's that?
The affidavit said 12 previous times. Remember, at the around the crime scene.
That's
for those
right.
times when he didn't turn off his cell phone. This
That's
time
right.
he turned off his cell phone.
So he does have a habit of doing these drives, but he doesn't have the habit of turning off the cell phone for the drives. Chanley, great to speak with you, and everyone at home again. Remember, Chanley, this is her day off, and she's helping us out so much. We appreciate it. Now, as Chanley mentioned, she's been out there, she's been on the ground, and she retraced all these movements, went through that affidavit, the evidence prosecutors say they have piece by piece. Let's take a look.
The probable cause affidavit in the case against the accused killer of 4 University of Idaho students pieces together the movements of the suspect vehicle and coordinating cell phone location data beginning in the early morning hours of November 13th. At 2:42 a.m., the affidavit alleges that Brian Kohberger's phone places him likely at his apartment on the WSU campus, where he was a PhD student studying and teaching criminology. At 2:44 a.m., Kohberger's vehicle and cell phone are on the move. Police say his white Hyundai Elantra is spotted on WSU surveillance cameras traveling north on Nevada Street at Stadium Way. According to the affidavit, it was here in this area of the WSU campus where surveillance video and Kohberger's cell phone placed him here around 2:47 a.m. According to the affidavit, he spent several minutes in this area where he allegedly turned off his cell phone before heading out of town toward Moscow, Idaho. By 2:53 a.m., Kohberger's white Hyundai Elantra is observed heading in the direction of Moscow, Idaho. At 3:26 a.m., the affidavit then places Kohberger's vehicle, now in the town of Moscow, in
So this is the time frame, right?
this residential neighborhood on Indian Hills Drive. This happens to be a road directly overlooking the Moscow Police Department. The Elantra is picked up on surveillance video moving west past the 700 block of Indian Hills. At 3:28 a.m.,
See, that's what I'm saying. No, there's a lot of cell phone pings. There's a lot of driving around. They got a lot of that evidence, which is, circumstantial, right? People have been tried before on circumstantial evidence. But what I'm saying is, they have all these timelines and all these phone pings. All they need to do is discredit one of them. That's all they need to do, because that kind of puts a monkey wrench in here in these specific timelines. I'm not saying they can do that. I'm just saying that's probably what they're going to try to do.
video shows the vehicle on Steiner Avenue at Highway 95 as it made its way towards the King Road neighborhood where the victims lived. Then from 3:29 a.m. to 4:20 a.m., the suspect vehicle.
See, this is important here. I also think what's going to be important is that DoorDash driver time frame, because by the time he gets there, what he sees, or she, I don't know who that is, but that's going to be a key thing, I think.
Vehicle, the white Hyundai Elantra, is observed multiple times on video passing by 1122 King Road during the alleged time of the murders before being seen on video speeding away on Walenta Drive. The probable cause affidavit states that the car likely exited the neighborhood at Palouse River Drive and Conestoga Drive, a road that eventually leads to Pullman, Washington. About 2 hours after he allegedly turned off his cell phone, police say Kohberger turned it back on here near Blaine, Idaho. It's about 10 to 15 minutes south of Moscow, a rural community off Highway 95, and it has its own cell tower. According to the affidavit, from 4:50 a.m. to 5:26 a.m.
So those cell towers are important, because of the triangulation they can get, and the GPS coordinates and the phone activity too.
Koberger's phone movements show him allegedly moving south towards Genesee, Idaho, and west towards Uniontown, Washington. Koberger may have taken a well-known back road called Thorn Creek Road at this point in his route towards his apartment. These are all very isolated roads, but Thorn Creek Road is known to be even more desolate. Police allege Koberger eventually made his drive back into Pullman, Washington from the quiet road of Johnson, where his vehicle was picked up on this security camera, the first time a camera captured his Hyundai after the murders were committed. By 5:30 a.m., police tracked the movements of Koberger's cell phone and vehicle back to his apartment.
So there's the evidence that prosecutors say they have, right? Tracking the white Hyundai Elantra, and his alibi is that he's out for a drive that night. What does this mean? Let's bring the think tank. Join us tonight in Atlanta, Georgia.
I mean, I think it's actually pretty clever because they're telling the prosecutors that he was out driving around. What's the crime in that? But the evidence of the touch DNA on the knife sheath, that's going to have to be explained away. The footprint maybe that they have inside the house. It's pretty damning, but I don't think it's incredible to overcome. I just don't.
Georgia criminal defense attorney Eklund Mercy, also with us in Phoenix, Arizona, the attorney who represented Jodi Arias, Kirk Nurmi, and in Washington, D.C., the attorney who represented Johnny Depp in his defamation case, won the case, and fellow of the American College of Trial Lawyers, Ben Chew, is with us. And before I ask a question, Ben, Kirk, you and Ben are going at it with the jackets tonight. Amazing job. Amazing job.
Right. We're going to step it up, Vinny.
Exactly. All right. Let me start with Eklund Mercy, though. Eklund, is this
I'll be happy to say that I don't have anything that looks like this in my closet.
An alibi or an admission? If your alibi is putting yourself in the white Hyundai Elantra, and that's how they track down
I'm not saying it's bad, just that I don't. Or a tie like that.
This killer through the videos and the cell phone in.
And I don't have a cross.
In the car, moving with the car, then the cell phone's turned off, and then the car is seen at the scene, then speeding away. What's going on here?
This is one of those cases in which it's hurry up and prove it prosecution. You want the prosecution to prove their case. They're having to, carry their burden. The officers did a great job with being very detailed, and the prosecutor was being very detailed in the timing and literally.
Look at that look, right? Like, look at the father's look, and then look at his look, like stoned faced right there. That's a stoned face right there. That's not somebody that's not nervous right there.
Setting it up for an alibi. So if he doesn't give one, the only thing that he can do is literally poke holes in the prosecution's argument. They did a really good job of actually placing the car. Now it's going to be it. Literally, they probably did not give him an offer. So there's no pleading in this case. So the only option is to go to trial. At this point, you just force the prosecution to prove their burden.
So, Kirk, am I missing something here?
See, the alibi, though, I think that kind of shifts the burden a little bit now because it's a claim by the defense that he's out driving around. He's just out driving around. Now, I don't know if that shifts the burden that much, but I don't know how that's going to work. But like I said, if they can get some witnesses that are educated on cell phone pings and try to, looks like a dent right there.
If your alibi puts you in the white Hyundai Elantra, and it's the white Hyundai Elantra that's like circling around the crime scene and speeding away from the crime scene, is this really an alibi that I was going for a drive by myself to no specific location at no specific time with no specific independent witnesses?
No, as I was reading along there, I said this is more of an admission than an alibi. And it made me, look, the responsibility of a criminal defense attorney in a capital case, they're immense and intense. But the number one goal of that criminal defense attorney in that representation of death penalty case is to preserve their client's life. And I don't see how this does that. This doesn't really constitute an alibi to me. It's more of an admission that some of the state's evidence is accurate. It doesn't really make any sense to me. So, if their focus should be on things that save his life, and things like this, these partial admissions, they just go further because you extrapolate this out and say he's got this habit of doing this. Well, the state can come back and say, look, he was stalking, he was preying, he was looking for victims, he found the victim. This makes it look all the worse in terms of the preservation of his life when you get to that sentencing phase. So to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense what's going on here for Mr. Kohlberger's attorneys.
Yeah, Ben, Kirk makes
See, I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying that, though. He had to have prior knowledge, in my opinion, of these, at least one of the victims. You don't just go out driving around neighborhoods. I mean, pretty sure it's happened, but he must have had prior engagement with one or more of these people to target them. I mean, maybe he saw him at one of the parties, maybe he saw him at a college football game or something, or maybe he was communicating with one of them. Who knows? But you just don't go driving around and find your way into Moscow, Idaho at that address and just go in and unalive 4 people. I mean, that just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Great point here, talking about has a long habit of going for drives. Yeah, all the drives that were done driving around and near the scene of the mass murder, before the mass murder, seems to prove premeditation and planning more than, hey, I just go for drives.
Yeah, Vinny, it reminds me of that expression, I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. I mean, this seems to be a non-alibi alibi.
There you go. All right, Ben Chew, Kirk.
All right, that's that. This is, we're going to go here, and then I'm going to go check on the weather, and then I'll get out of here. This is going to be the case of the person who's accused of unaliving her husband. Corey Richens will not receive any money from her late husband's life insurance policy. A judge ruled that Eric Richens' family will receive the money instead. Corey Richens is accused of killing her husband after she put fentanyl in his drink. So let's watch this.
All right, let's go now to Utah, where on Thursday, a judge ruled that the family of the late Eric Richens will benefit from his business's life insurance policy. And get this, his wife, Corey, who is charged with his murder, will not benefit from that. Reports say that Eric had a $2 million buy-sell agreement and set up a trust as the beneficiary. But prosecutors say that unbeknownst to Corey, there she is in that picture, Eric's will states that his sister Amy would take over the trust if he died. They further claim that just 2 months before Eric died of a fentanyl overdose, Corey attempted to make herself the beneficiary of that trust. Soon after she was removed from the policy, and just 2 weeks after the alleged murder, she sued Eric's trust for the money and assets. The defendant is currently being held without bond as she awaits the start of her trial. She's facing charges of aggravated murder, a first-degree felony, and 3 counts of possession with intent to distribute. Still with us to talk about this, we have Marie Pereira and Kirk Nurmi. And, the first thing I think of is, hey, there's that motive.
This woman right here is freaking awesome. That's the guy we just saw in the other case.
She's even sued for the money only to learn that it won't go to her from that particular trust. Marie, your thoughts?
She's on a losing streak. She wanted to be out to help with her defense, and they said no. And now this, which is
She's on a losing streak. Classic.
making it even harder for her to pay her attorneys. And I'm sure their prices are quite high because they have a lot to deal with in this case.
A lot to deal with in this case. I just have to circle back, Kirk, to the fact that she actually wrote a book, a children's book, based on the grief of losing their father. And now she's accused of his murder. So I would also think, well, maybe she has her own book proceeds, etc. But what are your thoughts? I mean, to me, it points to a motive that this state is going to use in this trial, Kirk.
It certainly does. I mean, even the book itself, actually, the insurance money, the book, trying to put herself out there as a grieving widow, right? She's and one who's benefited from this life insurance. She's trying to totally reinvent herself at the expense, and her husband's death is the springboard for that, if you will. So I think that ties into a complete pattern for her. She's going to be rich, she's going to be the victim, and she's going to be celebrated. And that, I think, is what this woman wants. And as Marie pointed out, the party isn't what she's going to think it's going to be, because I think based on this losing streak she's on, any party she has is going to be in the cell block.
So is there any opportunity for a blow really like this to think, I'm getting all this money, I can use it for attorney's fees or whatever she wants to use it for, but she doesn't get it because it goes to the sister instead? Marie, is that something that might cause her to rethink going to trial? Might we see a plea? Does that influence defendants any in your experience?
I don't think that the prosecutors are going to give someone who allegedly murders the father of their children and writes a book about it, and like Kirk says, uses it as a springboard for fame, going on talk shows, etc. There's not going to be a plea presented to her. The plea has to come from the prosecutor to approach defense and say, hey, let's try to, work out a plea. And in this case, I think it's so egregious, they're not going to offer her any type of plea.
All right.
Yeah, the only time the prosecution really has to come up with some sort of a plea deal is if they feel like they're probably not going to win the case, right? Or, by maybe the emotions of the family, maybe get it done early, just get it over with, right? But the prosecution doesn't have the authority.
What do you think, Kirk, about a potential plea in this case?
Well, listen, if she can't afford to pay her attorneys, she will be entitled to attorneys who work for the public defender's office. I don't see her wanting to plea in this case. I still think she probably wants to cast herself as a victim, some hope that she can spring back from this. Hope is a powerful tool to someone who's charged with a crime. And so, I could very well see a change in her legal team, but not in a change in her pleas for innocence. I think she wants this trial to go forward. I think for female defendants in particular, those accused of murder, image is so important, and she wants to protect her image, and she thinks she's going to be successful doing that at this trial.
Boy, Kirk, you almost say that like you have some experience with representing high-profile females, because I've never heard that perspective, and it's a really important perspective to keep in mind. If she's focused on image, that makes sense as to why she may be taking the steps she.
I hate when they put these things up in the stream, like.
Taking. Always love having both of you on. Thank you to Marie Pereira and Kirk Nurmi for joining me this hour.
All right, that's that. Laura Vallow is going to be going to jail for a long time. She's absolutely nuts, crazy. All right, we'll do this here, and then I'll leave, I promise. This is another case. No, I don't want that. Where'd it go? Oh, I had it. Now it's gone. $33 minutes ago. So this is, we're going to go back to this here because we started off at this. This is this guy here, and he basically is being charged, I guess, or whatever, facing charges of starting chaos in New York City.
Doing a huge giveaway.
With those few words and a flyer with the location, word spread among the millions of subscribers. Attendees told they'll get PCs, PS5s, and $100 gift cards.
We gonna go crazy for New York, man.
It's really an influencer's world, and we're just living in it.
He has 20 million followers. 20 million.
Washington Post
I have 40.
tech columnist Taylor Lorenz knows it's something we'll all have to get used to, but says there's a much better way for influencers with millions of followers to get to meet their fans, using permits and possibly a cap for the amount of fans who can
I mean, I don't think he's responsible for this, but
snag a freebie.
You have to have an RSVP system, ideally, because if you have millions and millions of followers online, you just say, hey, anybody come. You yourself don't know.
We went from 300 kids to a couple of thousand kids in minutes. We have to be responsible when we use this tool.
No permits were obtained for Friday's giveaway at Union Square Park. NYPD Chief Jeffrey Madry says its entertainment unit, which keeps an eye on events like this spreading through social media, was aware of the event, but not of its potential growth.
If we knew about this, we could have had the barriers out here. We could have police officers out here. We could have did this orderly.
Sanat now faces several charges, including at least 2 counts of inciting a riot and unlawful assembly. With millions of followers across all social media platforms, including Twitch, the 21-year-old has grown in popularity.
There's a team of people around influencers like this that really...
a lot of people will say, well, you have freedom of speech, right? And you do. You have freedom of speech. But there are regulations to freedom of speech. You know, if you're inciting riots and you're causing chaos, that's not freedom of speech. That's inciting riots and causing chaos. But where do you draw the line? I mean, I guess that's the question.
handle their business affairs, handle their public events, handle their press. I think those people, you know, the buck falls with Kai, sure, but I think those people are to blame as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. All right, so this is the case that I wanted to go to. This is another one here. Hold on a second. This has been in the news this week too. Woman escapes cinder block cage. A woman escaped from a cinder block cage after she was trapped by the suspected sex offender, Nagasi Saberi. Police are now trying to find out if there are more victims in the multiple states the suspect has lived in. Fantastic. Well, at least she escaped, right? That's good news. So let's check this out, and then I'll get out of here.
I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And there was a big story breaking out on the West Coast, say out in Oregon. Unbelievable story involving a woman who was sexually assaulted, then locked in a cinder block cell. So there she is, right? She's been sexually assaulted. This predator now has her locked up behind cinder blocks and this door. And somehow, some way, she is able to fight her way out of that door, track down someone, call 911, and rescue herself.
Kudos to her, man. That's fantastic.
Unbelievable story. Now the FBI is on this case, and they're wondering how many other victims are out there. And I'm wondering, are there any victims who may be locked up in a cinder block cell somewhere around the country? Because this guy has lived all over the place. Let me show you what the FBI had to say today.
The disturbing evidence uncovered to date points to an individual's ongoing and escalating pattern of violence targeting women in multiple states throughout the country. When police responded to a 911 call in Klamath Falls, Oregon on July 15th, they discovered a makeshift cinder block cell with a metal door and a singular light bulb above for
Hold on a second. So I just want to go here first because this is what she said. Klamath Falls is right in here. This is in Oregon. I'm not sure if that's the middle of nowhere or not, but it seems like it, Yeah. So that's where it happened. Okay, so back here. Go here. Good for her though. Good for her. She, got out of there. That's awesome.
lights. In a residential
Look at this place. That's it. That's where you are, trapped. Just a hostage. And, doesn't look like there's very much of a way out of here.
garage and a woman who bravely escaped her terrifying circumstances. 29-year-old Nagasi Zuberi is also known by several aliases. One is Sakima, another is Justin Haichi, and another Justin Kouassi. He is currently in federal custody for alleged interstate kidnapping after a Seattle woman escaped his home in Klamath
This accused person is going to prison for a long time.
Falls, more than 450 miles away from where she initially met him. Thereafter, she alleges she was kidnapped, shackled, sexually assaulted, and locked in this makeshift cell. According to the complaint, the woman fought for her life, beating the doors and the walls of this cell with bloodied hands. Through her perseverance, she broke free and waved down a passing motorist asking for their help.
That's freaking awesome. That is absolutely freaking awesome that she was able to do that. That's a success story.
To call 911. The FBI and our partners, to include Oregon State Police, acted quickly and were able to safely track down Mr. Zuberi within hours of his efforts to evade law enforcement. Our partners at the Reno Police Department, Nevada State Police, and Las Vegas FBI safely captured him after a 45-minute standoff in a public...
I mean, who does this shit? Who has the balls to do this? I mean, sorry for the French, but good Lord.
Parking lot at a major shopping center in Nevada with no injuries to themselves or others.
On July 17th, we obtained a federal criminal complaint charging Mr. Zuberi with one count of interstate kidnapping. That charge carries with it a maximum sentence
Probably the U.S. Marshals again. They're just awesome.
of up to life in federal prison. Law enforcement arrested him in Nevada. He appeared in federal court there in front of a judge on July 26th. And that judge in Reno ordered him detained pending his transfer to Oregon. The U.S. Marshal Service is now in the process of bringing him back to Oregon to face the kidnapping charge. And we anticipate that he'll appear in federal court in Medford, Oregon, in the coming weeks. At that hearing, our office will seek his continued detention and argue that he is a flight risk and a danger to the community.
Our investigation has continued vigorously over the past 2 weeks since Zuberi's arrest, extending into multiple states where he resided from August 2016 into the present. Those states include Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, New York, New Jersey, Alabama, and Florida. To date, Zuberi has been linked to at least 4 sexual assaults in 4 other states. We believe there may be more victims. Victims may know Zuberi by the name Sakima, and it is believed he may have used several different methods to gain control of his victims, to include drugging their drinks and impersonating a law enforcement officer. Finally,
I'm telling you one thing right now. This summer here of the year 2023 sucks. It is so freaking cold here. The other night, no kidding, it was 42 degrees. That's 10 degrees over freezing. That's a horrible summer.
I want to thank the brave women who fought for their lives to get us where we are here today. Now it is our turn to take their burden and fight for them, any other victims out there, and seek justice.
Unbelievable. If we could put back up on the screen the images of that room that she was able to somehow, some way get out of, because I can't imagine what happens. What's the rest of her life like if she's not able to fight her way out of this cell? I mean, it says, I mean, look at that. Cinder blocks. Bloodied hands to get out of there, to punch her way through that door. Incredible.
That's awesome. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, that woman is incredibly spirited, and just, she didn't want this anymore, so she got out of there.
Incredible. By doing that, how many future victims has this woman saved? So,
true.
As you heard from the FBI and investigators, this suspect lived in other states. Let me put those states up there because it's important, because there could be so many victims out there. California, Washington, Oregon, Colorado.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at all these states, right? A few states here on the East Coast. I mean, this guy was all over the place. So they're expecting more victims to come from this. So
now we go down south, Florida, New York, New Jersey, Alabama, Nevada, across the country. And they finally caught this guy. Finally. And I'm wondering tonight, is it just sexual assault? And I don't mean just sexual assault, but is he murdering people also? Are there victims out there that he, I mean, if you are engaging in this activity and you're showing them your face, etc., like, how do you expect to get away with this? I mean, do we have we have a serial rapist potentially here. Do we have another potential serial murderer? Let me bring in our think tank. Join us live in studio tonight. Criminal defense attorney, entertainment attorney, former state attorney in Florida, former assistant DA in Atlanta, Daryl Cohen. Also joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney Meg Strickler. And finally, criminal defense attorney, man behind the glasses, Josh Schiffer. Daryl, do you think we're looking for bodies? Do you think we're looking for other prisons that this man created that women may be in or may have died in?
I think we have to assume, since we found this one prison, cinder blocks, that there may be more. And if you always look for the worst, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, we'll know. And I want to point out this woman used superhuman strength of emotion to get out. She did something that probably very few other people could have done. So kudos to her. I hope she's okay in terms of her mental stability. But oh my gosh, This is not
Heroic. It's heroic.
It's beyond heroic.
Beyond heroic.
Shh. I think my birds are out. Nope, it's the stupid dog.
So let's look at this case now, right? I heard federal charges, right? When the feds get you, the time is always more serious, and it's like real time. State court, it's like, oh, you're sentenced to 20 years and they're out in like 3. Like, well, what happened? No, this is federal time, right? Interstate, all of that. So what could take place here now? Because there are other potential victims out there and potential murder victims. I would say that's got to be on the table, right? Is there any way to convince this guy to spill the beans, to give up all the information that he has? Or
As
is
you've seen in other cases, you're never going to have that happen. They're not going to sit there and fuss about everything. But I think by putting his picture out there and the states that you just put on the screen, we're going to learn about his background. Where did he leave? Where did he work? What did he do? What was his work like each day? What did he do at night? What were his things he did on the daily? And that's going to bring out a lot of information about him. And then we're going to hear about more victims. And also, remember, this is just a criminal complaint right now. It's not an indictment.
It is just a criminal complaint. And what Meg says is really the most important part. With these kinds of cases where there are victims that a lot of times carry embarrassment, maybe they're sex workers, maybe they work some
This guy's awesome too.
place they don't want their family to know about. They're terrified about even reporting someone that may have been weird or different or strange or concerning or downright dangerous. So sharing his face in the community, making people aware is really, really important.
But I don't mean to interrupt.
No,
I'm gonna a little
you're
bit.
gonna.
He's going to be given the opportunity to talk. He's going to be given the opportunity to roll and to tell whatever else he may have done, because he may get a deal where he will only spend 90% of the rest of his life in prison because he
He's not
keeps his
gonna
mouth
get a
shut.
deal.
He's staying in
You
prison
don't get squat in
forever.
this
So when
kind
they
of
said
case.
it's up to life, I mean, is he facing actual life? What are we really looking
In
at
the
here?
Fed system, he's done. He's
Fed,
out.
Fed system, this dude's cooked. Here's
Yes.
the only time he talks. After he's convicted and sentenced to the rest of his life in prison, every federal inmate basically tries to figure out some way to curry favor with the judges and the board.
Here's my
and
concern with
that's
this
when
case,
they'll
though.
spill.
Like sexual assault is bad, right? He was taking it to the next level. You know, building this cinder block cell.
Yeah, we know he's
that is, and you think it's the first time he did
No,
it?
They are going to throw every statute they can at this guy. Every single one.
You don't
No, it's the
start
first
there.
time he got caught.
You
Not
don't
the
start
first
there.
time.
So
he
what
did it.
happened to the last woman that he locked in a
That's what I'm
cinder
saying.
block
There's
cell?
a virtual guarantee that there's a history here that we're going to learn about, that he gradually got to this massively psycho
But you're not
level.
going to release. After you put someone in a cinder block cell like that, you're not releasing them. You're not like letting them go.
She was done. She was done.
And remember,
She was going to get killed.
She was absolutely going to be murdered.
He was captured after a 45-minute standoff involving him holding a small child and his, I believe, wife or girlfriend being present right there. There wasn't just this one victim that we know about in the cell. There are definitely other people.
Is there a way, the fact that he has a family, is that ever a part of the negotiation? Like, hey, we'll put you in this prison so your family's
there's no
convinced.
Not with this crime. No. He is not.
Yeah, I agree with her. She's right. There's going to be no.
In a
But
position.
I'm saying to find other victims, like I understand prosecutors, you want to put them away. But as a prosecutor, I'm also looking at this saying, oh my goodness, this guy's done this in 4 other states that we know of, Where are the ones we don't know of? Where are the bodies?
When you want to do a crime special on being completely impotent as a practitioner, try to defend a case like this against aggressive federal prosecutors.
I have.
Literally. Meg's been there.
Yeah.
You can't get these prosecutors to give you a breath of air or a crack of light.
You're done.
They're there to cook dinner, and it's done.
And they should be doing that. With this type of crime, with this type of evidence, with this type of defendant, they absolutely need to do what they need to do as a federal prosecutor,
I agree. They need to put this guy away for a long time.
as an assistant U.S. attorney, put him away where he will never see
I
the
get
light
that
of day.
part. I'm wondering, I can't imagine this was the only
It isn't.
victim
It won't
were in
be.
those circumstances. And if there were other people that were locked up for whether it was a week, 2 weeks, 2 days, I don't think it's a catch and release program.
No, it's not. And on
It's
that,
a catch and kill.
On that point, we're going to see people try to connect their mysteries locally with this because it's another person that now we've identified as been a criminal across state lines doing the kind of things that result in missing persons reports with no clue.
Now we got his DNA too.
Now we got his DNA.
Did it take the DNA right away, or does it take time?
Oh, they took it right away.
Right away. Now he got swabbed pretty quickly. And here's the other thing I want to say, because I am a criminal defense attorney. I'm sick and tired of every time I mention one of my clients getting dosed, prosecutors turn around and tell me I'm lying. Because guess what? People are dosed all the time. The predators that are out there, they're not fair. Your kids at college, your people out.
Agreed. These, this is just not acceptable, period.
In the community, people get dosed all the time.
What does dosed mean, Josh?
A Mickey, a Quaalude, a roofie. You could tell us a lot of stories probably from back when that was something you could buy at, basically a convenience store. And now people are using some of these drugs to take advantage specifically of vulnerable women, children, and prosecutors. Time and time again will turn around and tell me that I'm just lying and making it up.
Now, the other thing about this defendant, he was also impersonating police officers. So part of his MO would be, okay, I'm going to dress up like a police officer. I'm going to have like a stun gun or something with me. And I'm going to approach sex workers, an escort, a prostitute, and take her into custody. And those would be some of the other people that he abducted. I'm wondering now, do we...
It's innocent until proven guilty, right? But, stuff like this here, I don't think I have to say that because, who else could it be? Not like she went there willingly.
Look at, because we're in the middle of the Long Island serial killer. Yeah. He lived in New York. He lived in New Jersey. Did he live in Atlantic City?
Yet another reason we should legalize and regulate sex workers, because it would make that whole universe a lot safer.
You know what? We've changed the name from prostitutes to sex workers. Really?
We've written a couple good books. One of this really big book has a famous prostitute in it. You should pick it up every once in a while. So
don't be stormy with me.
I was more talking in the biblical sense. So one of the things that we have to
These guys are hilarious. These three knuckleheads.
Deal with is the fact that these crimes are crimes often of opportunity. And one of the real problems the state has is the contribution.
See, this is the power of the press, right? Like, I know everybody knocks the press, and I get it. But this is what puts things out there. If it wasn't for this, we wouldn't know about this stuff. And it would just get shoved under the rug like it was years and years ago, and nobody would say anything.
Of the victims in the eyes of the public to whatever befalls them. And that's a big problem. Being a sex worker or being a drug dealer or being somebody should not give an excuse to be a victim of crime.
I personally have been on this bandwagon for the longest time. I don't know why prostitution is illegal. I just don't. I don't get it. Just like marijuana. I don't understand why it's illegal in any sense of the imagination. It's just, ridiculous. Every single person who's been locked up for having an ounce of pot on them, good Lord. Yet people can go out and drive around liquored up to oblivion. Whoops. What the hell happened?
person's reports with no clue.
Now we got his DNA too.
Now we got his DNA.
Do they take the DNA right away, or does it take time?
Oh, they took it right away.
Right away. No,
Yes.
he got swabbed pretty quickly. And here's the other thing I want to say, because I am a criminal defense attorney. I'm a convenience store, and now people are using some of these drugs.
Sex workers, an escort, a prostitute, and take her into custody, and those would be some of the other people that he abducted. I'm wondering now, do we look at, because we're in the middle of the Long Island serial killer.
Yeah.
He lived in New York. He lived in New Jersey. Did he live in Atlantic City?
Yet another reason we should legalize and regulate sex workers, because it would make that whole
They're
universe
still
a lot safer.
prostitutes. You know what? We've changed the name from prostitutes to sex workers. Really?
We've written a couple good books. One of this really big book has a famous prostitute in it. You should pick it up every once in a while. So
Don't be stormy with me.
I was more talking in the biblical sense. So one of the things that we have to deal with is the fact that these crimes are crimes often of opportunity. And one of the real problems the state has is the contribution of the victims in the eyes of the public to whatever befalls them. And that's a big problem. Being a sex worker or being a drug dealer or being somebody should not give an excuse to be a victim of crime.
Are they less likely to come forward?
Yes.
Yes,
Right? They're less
absolutely.
likely to come forward.
Yeah.
But you know, you capture someone, you take them 450 miles, you put them in this cinder block cell. I think what investigators have to do here is go back to every place where he's ever lived, and can you get a search warrant for these places?
They will.
At this
Yeah,
point,
they will.
no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
No,
No
they
problem.
will.
There's
Yeah, at this point, this is a federal case, so this will be fairly easy to prosecute.
other people living there,
Don't
but it's
care.
not a
No
problem.
No problem.
They'll
you
get
get-
ground penetrating radar.
Yes.
If they think that there's disturbed dirt, man, these are the cases law enforcement loves.
But they're not going to really look at it, in my view, unless they think a woman or two women or 20 have disappeared. Otherwise, he's locked up, he's arrested, they've got him, he's in custody, he's going to stay there till the day after he dies.
But they got 4 other victims in 4 other states
Right.
before they even went public with this.
Exactly.
So
It's
we'll-
gonna be
we
ugly.
shall see. We shall see. Again,
All right, so that's that. Let's see, I've been here over 2 hours. I just want to check something here that I was checking before for everybody. We got some power storms early, but they weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. We do have a couple of systems that are running through. Let's see here. So we have a couple of systems. Where is this? This is right around St. Louis again. We got a small tornado box that's picking up here. Right in this cell, looks pretty active right there. So if you're west of St. Louis, this is probably going to be a problem in the next couple of hours here coming through. But there's some, let's go a little west here. It seems to be pretty much centrally located right around here. But I mean, this area has been really socked this year for sure. Yeah, right down in here. So it'll be heading into St. Louis within the next hour or so. So take cover there. All right. So that's that. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. I'm gonna play my thing here. And I will get out of here. Everybody have a great weekend. I may come back on later and try to pull up some statistics and start on Flora. So everybody have a good night, good weekend. Stay safe.